Right, episode 18, I think. I should know this, but it's, like I said in the last one, I've had a bit of time off. Today I've got Ryan Mairs with me. He is a very good friend of mine who I've known for a couple of years now. We are in the same Jujitsu academy. Big up Roger Gracie Moorgate. And we're going to just talk a little bit about his journey so far and hopefully have a laugh and some eye-opening gems that you can take away from it while we're doing it. So Ryan.
Hello, mate.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
How are you?
So, let's start from, I remember when I first met you in Roger Gracie's, you was already a sick blue belt. And I would imagine you said to me you've been doing it for years, right? You started MMA quite early.
Yeah.
What got you into MMA? And why so young? Because you started at 15, 16?
16, yeah.
Mad.
17, 16. Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for coming on and giving me an hour of your time.
No, it was all good, man. I started, that was my first year back in Jiu-Jitsu after like 2-3 years off during lockdown.
Well, when I saw you at RGA?
Yeah, so Roger Gracie was like my first gym back after a bit of a break. Because I started young. I kind of burnt out from the sport a bit. I was just like, nah, I'm going to go.
Yeah, but what got you into it though? Because that's quite young to jump into full-on getting smashed up and giving beatings and all that.
So I had a bit of a ropey teenagehood and like trouble. So my dad passed away when I was a teenager, 12, 13. And then I had a bit of it. No, thank you, man. And just like turbulent times, single mum. She has a mental illness, bless her. So she was struggling to kind of keep the house afloat. I was a bit of a nightmare. I was going through my own little shit. I was going through my own shit. I was like grieving. I was depressed. And I just had like all this energy. I had a lot. So what people are quite shook by is at that time I had like, I'm pretty chill, mellow now. A bit of a silly boy. But I was a bit of a hothead. I had like a lot of anger issues, getting myself in a bit of trouble at school and stuff. And it was just like kickboxing. I got into kickboxing and boxing.
Did someone advise you to do it?
My mum was kind of just like, energy. Fucking get in there.
Just get away from me for a little while.
Yeah, bless her. I think she was just like, and
just needed the break, I bet.
Yeah.
If he was bringing shit to the house as well as her going through whatever she was going through.
Exactly. So I think for her, bless her, it was like she kind of got me into that onto that path. And so I started off doing kickboxing and boxing. Me and my brother, we were always into like boxing and stuff as kids, and we used to just get each other into a lot of shit.
Didn't your brother have an MMA fight recently?
Yeah.
How did he get on?
He lost.
Bless him. Right, bro. At least he got in there. At least he got in there. Exactly. That takes bollocks.
Yeah, love you, bruv. But so me and him were always kind of like scrapping and like bit fiery. Like I was always a bit more of the quiet, reserved one, but like still kind of would play fight. And like we used to do this thing where we would get like we'd have a pair of boxing gloves, but he would have one arm, I'd have one arm. He would give me his like the weak. I'd have the stronger arm, he'd have the weaker arm. Just one arm boxing match each other and just smash each other up.
Do you ever win?
Nope.
It's got the older brothers always got to represent. And it's like, nah, you're not winning this.
I'll try, but no, it would always fail. So we kind of did that. We was always into kind of combat, like a bit of interest in that kind of stuff. And then when I got into kind of kickboxing and boxing, I started. So I found my mate had like the UFC game. Video game. And I was like, what's all this? There's a cage and all this jiu-jitsu stuff. And I was like, what is jiu-jitsu?
Bro, do you not think, I was saying this to someone the other day, see like jiu-jitsu, before you started doing it or knew anything about it, how fucking hard and technical it is, you'd watch UFC and as soon as they go down to the ground, you'd be like, this is so shit.
Yeah, so
boring. And you understand how hard it is. And that person on the bottom is seriously struggling to get up.
Mental.
It makes complete sense.
It's mental. So I started seeing this game and I was like, what is jiu-jitsu? So I started YouTubing it and basically for 2 years, because I'm from a small village in Kent, we had like, at the time we didn't have any MMA gyms. It was just like a boxing club and some kickboxing academies. But I was like, I want to do this jiu-jitsu stuff. I remember like trying to ring gyms and they'd been closed down for years. Like, no, we don't do that anymore. Like Vale Tudo gym. It was like that kind of.
Oh wow, that's like full on.
It was like Ashford Vale Tudo at the time, like years.
Is that everything but headbutting Vale Tudo?
I think so. Yeah. And I was like, rang this guy. I was like, man, that academy's not been running for years. I was like, okay, so it was like quite early doors. That would have been about 2010-ish. And then so basically for 2 years, I would just teach myself moves of jiu-jitsu off YouTube. And then me and my friends would go scrap in the fields. So we would like, it was so cringe. And we used to video it on our like really crappy, like Sony Ericssons.
Yeah, old school.
Like potato phones. Like, it's just like, the pixels are disgusting. And then, just do that. And then I found out that there was actually a gym 10 minutes down the road from me that had opened. a guy called Jack McGee had just come back from Brazil, and he was a brown belt, and he'd set up an academy in like this industrial estate in New Romney. So I started going down there at like 16, 17. I just rocked up to the gym on my own, like, I want to be a fighter.
I'm going to be the world's greatest.
I was literally like, I don't know why I had that mentality. I was like skinny, 70 kilos, spotty, the worst haircut you've ever seen. Just like rocked into this gym with these legit guys being like, I'm going to be a cage fighter.
Did they take to you quite well though?
I think so, because I was, as I say, with my mum like pushing me as well, bless her, like, and you know, me and her have our differences, but I got her hats off to her for like letting me like kind of. She drove me like every night, and I'd do the 3 classes a night, like 4 or 5 days a week.
Oh, sweet.
I was like, I like lived in the place, like, so it was. By the time like it was like a 6 p.m. class, quite busy class, and then there'd be like a 7 p.m. class, 8 p.m. class, and then like by the last class, I was always just like, it was almost like a 1-to-1 with the coaches.
Sick.
So yeah, I was kind of like pretty present, competing. First jits.
When did you have your first fight?
I think I was.
Sorry, you can hear me clearly.
Yeah,
sweet.
I think I was 16, and I fought. It was in Gillingham. It was like a no-gi grappling match, and I fought this like grown bloke with a Mohican, and he was topless.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was like, and he didn't submit me. It was a points loss. He mounted me in like the first minute, and I was just like laying there like, what is going on? But yeah, I was competing quite regularly.
Was you doing any of the gi, or was it just solely no-gi for that?
So I think I did 6 months at the start, just no-gi, and then I bought my first gi in like 2013. So this was around 2013 when I started. And then, so it's 11 years this year, which is mental.
Mad.
That's mental.
That is mad. The gi's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's fucking, it's so frustrating.
I actually hated the gi the whole time I trained until I joined Moorgate.
Yeah. Junior makes you like it.
Yeah.
It's his way of coaching.
Yeah.
He makes you see the beauty in the gi.
The gi. I was like, get off me, like grips.
Yeah, when someone can just hold you and stall for a little while, you're like,
I still don't know how to break grips, but I'm still like, but I like the aesthetic and watching it. And I just like, gi. But yeah, like I did another comp at like 17, which was another no-gi, and like an MMA strike and grapple type vibe.
Yeah.
So there was these competitions in Gillingham called like the Massives, MAASIV, I think. And it's just basically amateur tournaments of all these different martial arts. There's like kickboxing, Krav Maga, boxing. Like it's quite a typical grassroots kind of route in Kent. Good time to get experience.
Yeah. How long was you doing it before you realised that like MMA might not be, I'd imagine when you start something like that, you're like, I'm going to be in the UFC, I'm going to do it all. How long until you realise that, fuck, this might not be for me, man?
First fight was, I just turned 18, semi-pro. It was semi-pro, it was on like a big promotion in like the area, and I was in 6th form, and I was like, I'm the fucking boy. I thought I was the bollocks, I wasn't, as I learned, and I got humbled so early on because, like, it was like paid promotion. I got paid. I was still in school. It was a promotion I've always wanted to fight on. It was like a lot of video stuff. It's going to be on YouTube. I was like, oh my fucking God. And then I got absolutely weighed in.
Oh, did you?
In front of people. And it was like
Was that first proper loss like that?
Yeah.
Like weighed in front of
Yeah, I got like, the guy got me in like a Thai plum clinch and like kneed me in the nose 3 times in a row. And then like blood everywhere. My mum and my brother in the crowd. I got friends from school in the crowd. I'm like, think I'm going to be like the next. I'm like, I'm an MMA fighter now. Literally, and then I remember like I was concussed. It was just like that humbling feeling of being people going back to school because I used to get bullied for like wanting to be an MMA. They're like, fucking pussy. No, you're not.
That makes
no sense. There's me with like little glasses, skinny, like, no, I am. Trust me, I'm gonna be a fighter. Coming to school the next day, like, how would it go? I was like, yeah, fucking quality. Nose like halfway across my face. Like,
barely remember your name.
Yeah, literally. So, but luckily, like, I was like still hungry to compete. So like it was a mixed career. So I like left after like 8 amateur fights in total, like on promotions, 3 wins, 5 losses. But it was always mentality that cost me. Like, it was confidence, it was self-esteem, it was just like self-belief. Like I always lost the fight. Most of the fights I lost was always before I even got in the cage.
Really?
Yeah, every time. Just like I remember some fights being in like the warm-up area and being like, there's one fight where I thought the guy wasn't there, and I kind of like relaxed. I was like, oh, he's not even here. Like, it's not going to happen. The fight's not going to happen. The fight's not going to happen. Blessed. And then literally like half hour before the fight, like, no, he is here. Like, you ready? And I was like, I was like, fuck. So it's just like poor mentality. I had the minerals to get in there, but you have to have a different level of minerals and confidence
to actually progress hard in it, right?
To succeed in it. And I think and what you see now, especially like even on the amateur scene now that I see, like, because I was on that circuit for a while, and like, I see people that some of the fighters that I fought on the same card on are now like in the UFC or on Cage Warriors or like doing really well. And yeah, the difference in people's mentalities and their perseverance was like chalk and cheese. And like, I made the decision quite early on because I was at uni on a sports scholarship doing it.
Okay.
At 21, after like the third loss in a row, I was like, this ain't for me, and you have to kind of like suck that up.
But that hurts though, no? To realize, like, especially when you put all your eggs in one basket and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking, this is me. I'm gonna be the next big thing, and then you're like, oh shit. I
dedicated a lot of my life to it as well, and I think
a lot of your early life as well, man.
Yeah. But even little things, like I don't think I took it. I think I took the position I was in a bit probably for granted. Like the fact that I was on a scholarship, and I don't even know, I might have been one of the first to kind of get that at a university level. It wasn't like they paid for my course or anything. It was just like you get like a bit of money to help you with your training. I had access to like the sports science team and stuff, which was sick. But like I think I took a lot of it for granted because I was still partying. I kind of
suppose that's the difference in people as well. Yeah, they can stay super disciplined. They don't go to the parties. They don't want that. They don't want the junk food.
Exactly,
nothing. It's just a different level of discipline.
So looking back at the time, I was like, oh man, but I'm training 4 or 5 days a week, and it's like, but yeah, like it was always mentality, and you have to kind of own up to that and just take like that was the results were the results. Like I don't have any excuses for them. I wasn't good enough. I was never good. Like until I applied myself and worked on those kind of confidence kinks, I was always going to have those same issues. It's kind of, you always look back in hindsight, but
like you're your own worst enemy.
Exactly,
right?
But like 10 years later or whatever it is, like to now know that what the kinks were and to being ironing them out, it's still such an incredible chapter in my life, and I'm so grateful. Like all the friends I've made, like they were almost like a lot of the coaches and my friends, like they were like family. Like they got me through the hardest times of my life, like and so did the sports. So yeah, it was bonkers time.
Was it when you realised that you weren't going to do it? Is that when you kind of made your move to London? Was it shortly after that, or?
So yeah, I think I had my final fight, final year of uni, and I got armbarred in 45 seconds, which was peak. So peak, bro.
Do you know what? When I spoke to Charlie, so big up Charlie Watts, you know, I remember you telling me you know of him from the circuit, or whatever that he was in. And when I had him on and I was talking about his last fight, he was like, yeah, my last fight was this, and I walked out to this song. And I was like, how'd you do? He goes, oh, no, I got knocked out. But he laughed about it. It's so good that he had that sort of personality about it. Like,
you have to.
But he was like, yeah, I got knocked clean out. And it's just one of them things.
If you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah,
you got, like, some of my losses, like, what was so funny was none of my wins are on YouTube. All my losses are. And the ones where I'm like, it's like the embarrassing losses are on YouTube. So
do you find yourself going back to watch them now? Do you find
not really anymore, no.
No.
And when I look back, like that was like a different human being. Like, but yeah, that was a crazy chapter. But yeah, like the transition was, I just lost my third in a row. What was annoying is I lost 2 in a row and I was like, I'm done. So I think I'm done. I don't think I have this in the headspace. I don't think I'm going to, had a year off and I was like, no, I've got one more in me. And then that's when I was like, you fucking idiot. Why did you do that? I should have just like...
Nah, mate, like I said, man, at least you fucking had the balls to jump in there.
Yeah, so it was such a cool...
That's hard, man.
Like it's once in a lifetime. Just to get the fact that I got my arm raised 3 times, I'm so happy. And in those fights, like overcoming demons. But like, it's crazy. So yeah, I lost that fight and I was just graduating and I was like, I need a career. I need to... From where I'm from, going to London's like the Mecca. If you strive for like city life, and I think I was doing little bits and pieces in and around London with like coming on podcasts and whatever, like visiting. I remember just looking around the city like, I fucking want this life.
This is crazy.
This is, oh my God.
I was just saying to you before we walked in here, because I'm born and bred London, London, I'm just like, this place is shit, man. It's just grey and everyone's miserable. I'm like, I want to get out of here. But,
to some people,
I get it. If you lived in like a kind of small knit community and you come here, it's just
crazy.
Amazing, isn't it?
So I was like, it's like multicultural, everyone's open-minded, everyone's ambitious. I was like, yes. I was like, there's money here. I was like, fuck yeah. So yeah, I left uni. I got a job quite quickly as a recruiter.
Wasn't for you.
Well, I was a recruiter most of my career, or worked in recruitment most of my career. But yeah, like that kind of period where I was commuting at the time. I was living in Sussex at the time. And then when I moved to London, it was like, life was like, oh shit. And that's when like the partying and that lifestyle kind of took over. And I was trying to, because I was a bit lost, like without the jiu-jitsu, I just had that massive chapter in my life where even at uni, I felt like the boy. Because I knew everyone. I was in the same place for 4 or 5 years. It was like the first bit of stability I had. I was training all the time. You know, I was partying a little bit, but it was just like such a cool part of my life. I had all these close connections, and I went to having none of it. And it was just like, I was so lost. So I was trying, and I was like so depressed, and I was trying to jump back into gyms, and like either I just didn't vibe with the gym, or I just didn't really rate the coaching, or whatever it was, like whatever reason, or like I just preferred partying, or whatever it was. I was just making excuses. So I went
slippery slope, innit, partying?
Yeah, so I went and played rugby for a little bit, just wild stuff.
Just trying anything.
Why not go try and learn how to play rugby at 23?
Just mad injuries.
And then like went through all that dark shit, and then I was just like jumping in gyms. I was like, nah, I don't have that spark anymore, which is why it's really sad, because it was such an important part of my life. And then
but we're going to talk about your life and the journey so far. No, you're saying about like the spark. Your spark recently has been fucking nuts. We're going to get round to it, but it's mad to hear you say that you lost the spark, because it came back fucking tenfold, I reckon. Anyway, where you're going now, crazy. Go on. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, and I'm looking forward to talking about more of it. But so what I want to dive into next, actually, you just said about you obviously went through that terrible period where your dad passed away, and knowing you're super fucking open about like mental health, and you run a group called Jujitsu Vent, but you're bipolar, right? So let's talk about that. When did you realize you had it? How do you manage it? How did you come across the Jujitsu Vent group? Let's dive into that, because that's fucking really important, especially like when I told that to one of my friends the other day about the group that you run. He was like, that's epic, man. How many people do that? Like, there's always this stigma about, oh, we need to change it. No one really does anything about it, where you're actually doing so, whether it be a small, how many are in the group now?
About 58, 60 or something.
Nuts. So that's like 60 people's life you could be changing just by letting them have an event with you in a WhatsApp group. Yeah. Crazy.
No, I appreciate
that. So let's talk about the, when did you realize you had bipolar?
So I always suffered with like, after my dad died and like all that, where it went like that chapter in particular, like everyone around me when I was like 13, 14, everyone around me was either like dying or leaving, and it was just peak. And I was just like always depressed. I was getting bullied at school. Obviously I had issues with me and my mum, like, but like even like post-uni, when I had the post-uni depression, like no matter what I did in my life as I got older, even post that era, 2018 era, just always, no matter what I did, whether I trained, whether I ate healthy, whether I exercised, whether I was like enjoying my job or I changed my job, I just always ended up really depressed. Like,
really just felt
every year, a couple of times a year, I'd always just fall back into a proper low and just like contemplate shit, and just like, I was just like, then
what's the feelings of it? Because for someone who don't have it, like I feel like the word anxiety is thrown around so much now. Everyone, like, if you're just having a bit of an off day, oh, I'm anxious or whatever, I don't know if you actually have it. But bipolar, I would imagine, is that like tenfold of what a normal anxious bout would be? Yeah,
so I'm still learning a lot about it. I got diagnosed 2 years ago, actually. This coming up to 2 years. But it's a mood disorder, and it has a lot of stigma around it, because everyone just thinks like, it's just like, you're just like up and down, which it is. And everyone's up and down. It's like, shut up.
But the people who say true. Everyone's up and down is like, I could say I'm down on a Sunday if I've gone and poisoned myself with 30 pints, a packet and this and that. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously I'm going to be down on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Right?
So usually it's like, it's not usually triggered by anything. But like, I would like have like a week where I'm like buzzing, so optimistic about life, motivated, have all this energy. Like when everyone's like, you're a bit like intense, like, because I'm bipolar type 2, so there's 2 types. Bipolar type 1's like the extremes, where like the high is where you're like, your confidence is like sky high, you genuinely believe you're like God, and you can like hallucinate and you get psychosis, and it's like, that's like the high end, mania it's called. And then there's the low is where you're like suicidal, and like you probably make attempts, and it's like really bad. Whereas I'm type 2, which is I don't know. It's like a lot of conversation around like the 2, but like obviously it's considered like less severe. But it's still like so hard. But my highs are just, they're not as intense. Like,
yeah.
I get elevated confidence in my ego, and I'm like, I'm like, but, and then I get really like low. But I'm pretty sure the original diagnosis of bipolar was like, it used to be called manic depression. So it was like, it's more about the lows.
And then could you experience a high and a low in one day easily?
Not a day.
You could have a high for a few days.
It's more like, so this is the bit I'm kind of trying to explore, because mine can flick. I can go through like for like more than a month where I'm fine. I'm like neutral.
Yeah.
And I just experience like normal highs and lows, where it's just like something will stress you out and like things like that. And then I'll go through periods where I notice like, so what I'm unpicking and learning is there's certain time periods in my year where I know it will trigger a low. So typically actually February, March for me is usually like a low period, because you can get triggered by like stress or like memories or like different circumstances. But sometimes it can just happen from nowhere. But for me, yeah, it can last like, typically a low for me at the minute, I'm noticing can last between like 4 or 5 days. Some people it's like 2-3 weeks. Some people it's months.
Yeah.
So that's the bit I'm trying to explore, is like, and make more friends in the community, because it's like, it's different for everyone.
And how 5 days, and if you know it could potentially be 5 days, like what's your routine of even having a crack at managing it?
So when I was in like fully employed work, it was like so grim, because like you're forcing yourself to like go to an office and engage with people, and like my old job involved talking on the phone, and I was like forcing myself to have conversations, or I would swerve the work, and then so it fucks with your performance, because you're just not putting in the effort because you don't have the energy. So yeah, it's like, but what I typically do now is like, I like to like just sleep. I've always, even when before I had my diagnosis and when I was really depressed, like I consider like napping as like my reset button. Like I just see it as like a computer, when, especially if your mind's going crazy, even if your mind's really low or really high anxiety, for me, like I like sleep. I don't know if it's the healthiest, I don't know if sleep experts would tell me off for that, but whatever. But for me, that's kind of always been a thing, or nature or exercise or
yeah, you always say when you go to have like a decent jit session, you've come out on a bit of a high, don't you?
Yeah, but I think the hard thing for me is getting there.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Junior kind of digs me a bit, because it's like, sometimes I just can't get myself there, and I know I need to do it, and I know it makes me feel better.
It's easier said than done. It's like, it's all right for us lot trying to tell you just come, but we don't go through what you go through.
Yeah. So when you see my like attendance card and there's just like gaps, people are like, where the fuck are you? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, bro, I don't rub it in. I know.
Relax, bro. I'm going
crying into a pillow, bro. I've been listening to Nickelback and Coldplay, mate.
Allow it.
But yeah, so it's I'm constantly learning. I don't want to come on here and say like try and give advice to people, but like just
No, but it's good that you're sitting there saying you're still going through it. Like,
and it's,
you ain't mastered it yet. I suppose it could take a lifetime for you to fucking master it.
Yeah, and it's just like I'm definitely like making the lifestyle changes I need to kind of improve it, but I still get like from nowhere. Like my life could be like at the minute, thankfully it's the best it's ever been.
Yeah, we were just chatting about that. I'm on a high for you. We were just talking about how it is for you now, your day-to-day setup and that. Gas for you, man. Because I've known you the past 2 years and seen how fucking drastic it's completely changed.
Yeah.
I'm over the moon for you.
No,
man.
Thank you, man.
But let's go to a Jujitsu event then. How did that start?
So basically, when I was going through my depressive episodes, so I've been advocating on social media and raising awareness.
You know what? Respect for that. You're super open about
Thank
it.
You,
and honestly, I guarantee to even people that ain't in Jujitsu event, people that don't know you, people just flick through your stories, guarantee you're helping massively, man.
No, thank you, man. Appreciate it. So I've always, like, for the last like 7 or 8 years, I've been doing that on, it's because it's the break stigma, and it's also actually I've learned over the last 2 years of like my little healing journey I'm going through. It's probably a bit of a therapy for me. I sometimes find it easier to post a story and to vent than I do talking to my mates sometimes, and it can be a really unhealthy way to do it, but like for some instances I do it that way. So I was breaking stigma, and I was like, I'm always here for people, and friends and people and some strangers would start to reach out to me to vent and talk to me about their feelings. But
that must have been mad.
It was mad, but I was going at some times and some of the chapters I was going through my own shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't help you, bro. I'm fucking in the worst spot right now. I can't help. So when I come out of that depressive episode, I was like, do you know what? Why don't I just like make a group? There was like 3 or 4 of us at the time. I was like, why don't I just why don't we all just chat together?
Yeah.
It's a bit of I was like, in my head, I was like, it's a bit lazy of me. I was like, fucking, I can't deal with it right now.
You might get someone in the chat who has better information on
exactly.
on
so
illness than you do. Like.
Exactly. So we just like put it, I think it was a group chat of like 4 or 5 of us at the time. And then it just snowballed. And then it was like, oh, can I join that? And then it was like, oh, I've got a mate that could really use this. And then it was like, oh, they found me from social media and now they joined. And then it was just crazy how it all spread. And then it's just like people from all different walks of life. There's people from all different chapters of my life. There's like ghosts from my past that reappear from school, and they're like,
oh, and they've been going through it.
They're in the chat. There's
so how, do they just bounce off each other in the chat?
So basically, yeah, it's very like informal. So I kind of get myself feeling guilty because even though I've contributed something, even though everyone's kind of helping each other, and I guess started it, it runs itself. I don't actually do much. I don't really push it on social as much as I used to. I don't really try and sell it. It's just there for the boys that like when they need it. And yeah, it's just like whenever people are going through shit, they just put a message in the group chat, and I know at least 2 or 3 of the boys will reply to someone. Like there's people in there, I say there's about nearly 60 boys or so in there, and there's like, I'd say there's like a core of about 10, 12 that are quite regularly active. There are some that will just pop in when they need it, chat, and there's some that are just observing. They just learn and take comfort from seeing other people struggle.
That might be their way of dealing with it.
Yeah, so there's like different levels of engagement in there, but it's there for what people need, so it's perfect. And like, yeah, I kind of beat myself up because I'm like, should I be promoting this more? Like, I'm very grateful.
You've gone from 4 people to nearly 60. That's banging, man.
Yeah, it is, and
it's
so
open
nice.
to anyone. It's like if they just keep bringing people in, you just grow it as much as you like.
Yeah, I'm trying to like, so we got like a little rule set community with like house rules of like you kind of keep it confidential and just like respect people's privacy and stuff. But I try and like sense check, like, so if I try and get someone's like at least their social media account and their full name, because if anything goes south or whatever.
Of course,
but yeah, no, there's boys in there that like I didn't know, they were strangers and now they're like really close mates. And like I've met them in person. There's some people that I still haven't met yet, but I consider like really good mates. I've tried to like, it's hard because everyone's like, there's people all around the country and all around the world. Yeah. So it's like, I really want to do like a face-to-face meet, but like the logistics it's just impossible sometimes. So we are talking about, and I've dropped it off the radar recently, but hopefully try and get like a hike or something in like April, May or the summer. Just go do Snowdon or something. Or
that'd be wicked.
Just something like
that. Where's the furthest out you've got someone?
We've got some boys in America.
Yeah. We
had a couple of boys in like Bali, but most are like UK based.
Mad, it's all word of mouth as well.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
There's like I've got people with like old colleagues. I had like current colleagues. I had old clients. I had like old school friends. Got most of my friendship group are in there. Like really? My actual boys.
Do you know what? That's eye opening as well. You just don't know who's going through it.
It was all because I had like 2 of the boys join, and then like they all just slowly like, added in, and then when we see each other for a social, it's just like, oh, that was mad on the chat, wasn't it? And he's like, not about like the other boys, but like just our little group being like, it's mad that we're all in the group. So it's nice that I have like friends like that want to be in that kind of community. And
you've took a journey recently with sobriety, right?
Oh yeah.
And most of the people in Jujitsu event doing the same.
No, well, it's mixed.
Well, do they understand? Like, obviously, alcohol's never going to be a solution to
I wouldn't have got. So I'm nearly 6 months sober, and I wouldn't have got without some of the boys in there.
Really?
Yeah. So I did a month sober last year. It was like a little tester, a little feeler.
I was going to say, what was the reason that made you do it?
One, the bipolar diagnosis, because so I'm meant to be, not meant, well, I don't know, again, I'm learning. Typically, someone with bipolar is meant to be medicated.
Yeah.
I'm holding off on that as much as I can. So I'm just making lifestyle changes to adjust, see how I react, see how I can adapt and change triggers in my life and stress triggers in my life. And I know that I was just learning that alcohol is just like throwing petrol on a fire.
Yeah.
And like when you're super intense and high on a hypomanic episode and really low and depressed, like cocaine and booze ain't gonna do that great.
Exactly.
So
it's like a credit card, you're gonna have to pay it back, innit? 100% you're gonna have to pay it back.
So I was just like, and it was just like the way I was reacting, and only until recently this year, end of last year, I learned why, like the reason I was using it and coping. Like, I was just like, was drinking on my own a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's when it becomes a problem.
And at the time, I didn't see it. I thought I was fucking cool, man.
Just I was with a whiskey.
I was doing Instagram stories like of like my favorite like rave sets with like a bottle of wine, just like videoing the songs, being like, anyone know this tune? Just twatting a bottle of red wine on my own. Just like I was just like,
what, most nights?
Not most nights, but it was typically like a Thursday, Friday.
Yeah,
but I was on my own, and I was like in my head, I was like, yeah, it's my time.
So my dad actually, he's a funny guy. Like he used to drink quite a lot. Not like a fucking raging pisshead or nothing, but he was just, you know, like a working class.
Yeah.
Work all week, go drink on the weekend. But he always had a rule that he'd never drink at home.
Yeah.
He said when you start drinking at home, that's when it can really become a problem, because you're paying a third of the price as what you'd pay when you go out, and you can just sit there doing crates or whatever you like. He never drunk at home.
And I never...
Maybe Christmas or something, you might get him to do it or whatever, but he would not sit indoors drinking.
That's so true. And like, just little things that I learned, like even when I went sober, people would tell me stories like, yeah, like once you started, you would never stop. Like I couldn't go out to the pub, for example, and just have one. Yeah. Like if someone's like come out at like 9, I'm out till 4, and I've spent 200 quid, or 150 quid, and I was going out like 3 or 4 nights a week. And then if there was no one to go out with, I'd search for it. I just had I'd call it like the itch, whereas I just wanted to be out, or like I don't know if it was like because I'm learning that I probably didn't like being on my own or whatever it was. I just need to get out of my own headspace. So that was like a distraction, and just crazy. And friends would be like, yeah, do you remember? So I live above I'm friends with like a restaurant, and like I'd go down there if I didn't have any plans. I'd go down there, chat with them, have like 4 pints, and then I'd go upstairs on my own, just drink a whole bottle of red wine. So I'm like licked,
ready.
I'm licked, mate, on my own, just on the sofa. And I think it's like self-care. I'm like, it's the opposite.
Yeah,
man.
it is. It's terrible because it's going to come back.
So yeah, and it was just like fucking my relationships. Just like I say, I used to be a bit of a hothead, and then I just started noticing like I was becoming that guy again, and just like the constant like triggering like the depressive episodes, and I knew it was that what was triggering it. Like it was a big trigger, and I'd noticed my phone where I was like, stop taking drugs, stop drinking. I was like writing poems. I was like,
oh, you was putting that in all your notes?
On my note, like on come downs, just being like,
yeah.
I know what the problem is, and I still wasn't changing it. And I was like, why are you whinging then? In my head, it was like I had to be like half of myself. I was like, why are you?
Did you find that you had to distance yourself from anyone? That's their main thing, and they might cope a little bit better than you. So you just didn't put yourself in that situation anymore.
Oh, my life's well different now.
Yeah.
I'm a bit more like, I've noticed it over the last probably 3 weeks as well. I'm a bit more like, I like being on my own now. Yeah. Almost too much though. Yeah. So it's like now going to a social situation, it's like, fuck.
You've drained your batteries. Like just even saying hello to a few people.
You learn like, and friendship groups always evolve, and you lose people and you move on, and everyone's got different chapters of life, and everyone's busy, and everyone's in relationships. Like, so out of all my friendship groups as well, I'm the only single one, which is different. Yeah. But I'm like busy, so it's just like I do feel not lonely, but it's just like there's other people going through like sobriety and stuff, but it's definitely like different. Like, and like I think I've used the word before, which is probably quite harsh, but like acquaintance, you lose acquaintances. Yeah. And you realise who you were just hanging out with because the common ground was boozing and partying, but actually take that away.
You don't really have anything in common with them, right?
So it was fascinating, but like it still valued my. Like, I don't like some of the stories and stuff were great fun. Like, that chapter of my life as well was fun, but I was boozing. Even at 16, 17, like 15, I was drinking. Got drunk for the first time when I was 12. I swear? Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I'm learning, like I'm pretty sure my old man was a bit of a boozer and probably had a drinking problem because I was just always down the pub getting him out. Like,
on the topic of your old man, it's his birthday today. Yeah. Happy birthday to the legend, man. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, thank you, man.
My pleasure.
So yeah, it was... I just had to explore my relationship with alcohol, and especially when you move to London, like it's the
only thing to do.
It's the glue.
Yeah. And do you know what? I'm not a massive fucking drinker anyway, but I find that if you don't fancy a piss up in a beer garden or anything like that, there's not really much to do. Do you know what I mean? Like no one really. I've got a couple friends, and I'm grateful for them that I can ring these two, happy to just get a coffee and go for a 2-hour stroll. But other than that, unless it's something exciting, as in drinking in a beer garden or going like fucking crazy, not really much to do on the weekends.
It's wild, isn't it? So that's why.
And I've got that thing. I don't drink loads. Yeah. Or no, I don't drink often, rather. But when I do drink, I can overdo it. Yeah. I'm known for pushing the boundary and then fucking regretting it for about a week.
But it's good that you kind of know you're aware of your relationship with it. Though. Because I think a lot of people don't. They underestimate it. And like, I remember when I got diagnosed with bipolar, I remember this now, I don't think I've ever spoke about this before. the guy that diagnosed me, who was like, and like, how much are you like drinking, and like, do you take drugs? And I was like, I was like, yeah, I do drink a fair bit. And he was like, how often? And I can't remember what I said, like 4 days a week. And he was like, okay, it seems like quite a lot. And I think I was like trying to excuse it. I was like, yeah, but I'm 25, I'm in London,
super healthy.
And he was like, he kind of like raised an eyebrow, and he was like, yeah, but not all those people have bipolar or like a mental illness. And I was like, yeah, fair.
I can't even imagine what a hangover would feel like on top of bipolar. Hangovers are fucking horrible anyway.
Yeah, like some of the come downs were crazy, and then you do realise what it is, and it's just like, you're not helping yourself, Ryan. So it was just, I'm just gone through like I was saying to you earlier, like I just feel right now it is a lonely period in my life, because I do feel like a completely new human being, because I've gone sober. I'm doing all this like inner work of like healing trauma and like learning about my triggers, and my lifestyle's completely changed, my career's completely changed. So like everything's like, I feel like a crab, you know, when it gets out of their new shell.
The bucket. You find out the bucket, no one's pulling it out anymore.
And like I've got a new, I've shared a shell, and I've got a new shell, and it's just like it's just all a bit strange, but like I know it's all. Even though if I get lonely or like I get like a bit down or whatever, it's just like, no, it's all for the greater good. I just need to remind myself that. So it's just.
And we was talking, like I said earlier, we were talking about how like solid your life is at the minute. You're at that point now where like we're both saying it, like we're at a point in our lives now where I genuinely, when I'm getting up in the morning, I'm tired. That's the only bad thing about the day, that I'm tired. I'm looking forward to getting to work. I enjoy how my week looks. I enjoy the freedom I've got. Could I add a little bit more work? Yeah. But I love what I do, and I'm happy where I'm at, right? And you're at the same place. But yours is completely different to mine. Mine's just personal training. I get up, I go PT people, teach a couple classes, I'm happy. A couple kids at home, loving life. You've gone from when I first met you, where was you working?
I was a recruitment and employer brand manager at Honestburg.
At Honestburg, yeah. So then I met you there while I was doing jiu-jitsu. And then tell me about so basically Ryan does bits with, he's going to tell us more. I don't know as much as he can tell me, obviously. But I looked up, he works for a place called Quinn. Yeah. And that is
I'm a creator for them,
creator for them, and it is audio erotica, right?
Yeah.
How the fuck did you land this job? This is what the maddest thing is. Like, don't get me wrong, anyone listening is probably like, oh, he's got a fucking sexy voice. But how did you land this job? It's so mad.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, so as I've always been on social media, right? Ever since I was like in school, I just like, I like a mixture of everything. So I like deep, meaningful shit and talking mental health, but I also like making like jokey shit and like sketches or whatever. And I just started, like, I made a TikTok account as a bit of banter about 2 years ago, and I was just doing like little sketches about like dating and girls and like just like lad stuff, and they started, like, it was all right. It was just my outlet. It was like my creative outlet. I've always liked to consider myself a creative, and I just enjoyed doing it. And then I just one day started doing the TikToks where I actually started talking on them. I was just usually I was just doing sounds and just like miming or something, and then I started like talking on them, and the algorithm, however the universe and fate works, just started serving it to people, predominantly like American women, and they took a liking to my British accent. And they just started like in the comments just being like, can you say this sentence? Can you say this sentence? And I was like, all right, I'll start saying this stuff. And I did 2.
What, just on like a reel kind of thing? Or
just did a TikTok, and they're like, can you say this? And I was like, okay. And I did 2, and they both went viral, both went over 1 million views. Fuck. And then I was like, what?
I remember you coming into Jits going like, it's blowing my mind.
I had like 500 followers. And I was like, I was kicking off, bro.
All of a sudden it's done. And then it was like 100,000 listeners and this. And I'm like, fucking hell, this is getting
crazy, man. So like, and it was like a snowball effect, because then I just like, because then once you find like a trend and a routine with your content, I kept doing it in different sentences. And then, like the audio erotica kind of space, I kind of worked for a different app. And then, like kind of Quinn caught wind as well. And then, like got on the platform, and then that kind of just spiraled things more, and then my TikTok was growing, and like Instagram's kind of growing at the moment, and it's just like a combination of everything wellness, thankfully, because it's audio erotica, it's like breaking stigma, because it's all about kind of female sexual wellness and freedom and safety and security. So it's very ethical. It's like a different way of doing things, because like typically men as lads, we like to watch porn,
just
right?
porn, yeah.
And I know, and women like to watch porn as well.
I've never been on porn in my life, ever. In case my mum listens to this.
And then like, so it's like a different way for typically women to enjoy and experience that kind of realm. And I remember when I first caught wind of it, I was like, fucking no way, bro. Yeah. No way.
Why, did you feel like embarrassed doing it? Or?
Not anymore. At the time.
I was saying it's new, isn't it? It's something new that you're not used to.
No way, man. As soon as I I was like listening to other people's stuff, I was like, nah, man, I'm done. No, I'm thankful.
I'm done.
No, thanks.
I'm done.
Like, no. And then you kind of like, I had a few conversations with my boys and they were like, mate, like, you're clearly like all right or there's
even just looking at your videos where you do voiceovers of like the Joker, Thomas Shelby and Alfie conversation, they're fucking wicked.
No,
so good.
Thank you, man. So
you're made for it, man.
Thank you, man. So yeah, I was like, they were like, look, this is like a new opportunity, like this realm, to just jump into this realm. It's like this new opportunity. People want it. People like you. They think you're good at it. Like, people are going to take the piss out of you, whatever you do. Because I was like, people are going to take the piss out of me. And then,
fuck them.
And that's literally like,
so what?
My boys, and like, part of me deep down as well was like, fuck them, but I was too scared to kind of make that jump.
But that's that thing we were talking about, that mentality we had just growing up kind of thing. It's like, why? Fuck them.
Yeah.
Like, so what if they think that?
Yeah.
You count your money, you do what you're doing, you enjoy your life.
Exactly.
Let them keep saying, oh, he's an idiot for doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Like,
that's
I'm
cringe. I don't give a fuck,
Sweet.
mate.
Yeah, cringe. I'm living a self-employed life that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Cringe. Let's go.
So let's go. And what was funny, what I learned, it was all my like the boys, like my typically straight mates that I thought were going to rip me, that were actually the most supportive.
100%. Because they get it, bro.
Yeah, so
they get that you've got to.
We're all just trying to be happy and make money and just like live our own like freedom. So it's so nice because it's like, for me, it's like the perfect, because it's like I'm breaking men's mental health stigma on this side and kind of helping men through shit, and then on this side I'm offering something for women as well.
Yeah, it's wicked.
And like their safety and their sexual wellness, and like some of the DMs I get.
And then you're tapping us out in the gym. It's epic, bro. It's just winning all 3 ways, killing it.
So I'm very like very, very grateful. And I get so anxious, obviously because just like the mental illness and just my mental health issues and stuff. But like, because things are going well right now and just the way my life's been, I just know that it can collapse at any minute.
Yeah.
So but like the way I am, I'm just like, you're kind of always expecting a fall.
Okay.
I know that now I'm way more equipped to adjust and readapt if that happens. Yeah. Life does do that. But yeah, like I try, it can be quite sad because I don't fully release it to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which is horrible because I need to be
expecting the worst.
Yeah. Or just waiting for, I'm like, something's going to happen.
And you got this. Well, from an outside point of view, someone added me, one of your listeners from Quinn, I forget their name, Casey Sean or something.
Okay.
And when they shared voiceovers that you've done and that, I'm like, that's my boy. She puts it on their stories. I'm like, yes. So it's nice to see. Like, I think she's American.
Oh, okay.
Overseas, putting pictures of you up and like, oh, just listen to this, how good it was. I'm like, yeah, that's my boy.
It's crazy, yeah. No, the support and like because what I thought when you kind of things take off, because I've always been interested in social media, I've always kind of wanted to work within it in some realm. I didn't know it was gonna be this, but the fact that it is this is amazing. I thought that like engagement and like supporters, and my mates joke like fans, I thought that only happened when you get like, I don't know, 500,000.
Yeah.
Or like, but even when I like, with my support now, it's like the DMs and the lovely messages of like how much your work impacts them and how much it contributes to their life. And if I now put an Instagram story up where I'm feeling a bit low or flat, before it would be like 10, 15 people, like my close friends being like, you got this. Now it's like hundreds of people being like, I fucking love you so much. Like, don't you dare like give up. Like
the ball you went to the other day, right?
Yeah.
Was that people members of Quinn?
So there's some there, yeah. That was like the book. So it's called the community is called Book Talk or Bookstagram mainly. But yeah, Quinn. That people that listen to me on Quinn were there as well. And that was just like the most. That's when it hit that like, oh, life's different now.
Yeah. I was thinking that because you went there, fair play to you. You went to this big gathering. Mm-hmm. Sober as well, so you're working on that as well as being in front of all these people, and then you're the man to these people now because they enjoy what you do, the service you offer and all that. Did they make you do a speech? Did you do a speech there?
So I did. I was just there kind of as a guest, so I was just kind of floating about, and it was just people getting pictures. I was like, what the fuck? Because I'm a bit of a kind of nerd with people. Like if I see someone I like a music producer or a DJ, or I'm like, can I get a picture, please? And to see people do that with me, I was like, whoa, like that's what I mean. But
it'll only get more and more, bro. And I think no one's really doing it. I've never heard of anyone else do this bar you. So just be the man in this space. Just be the guy that people have to listen to.
So yeah, it's I read out like I went on stage and did like the raffle, but I was sober. I was so anxious. I kind of fucked it up a bit. I was like so awkward. I was just like, so my mate Tom, who was with me, my boy, shout out Tom. He was like, where I stood, because I was so fucking anxious, I wasn't stood like at the front of the stage. I was kind of stood in the middle. So like the lighting, you couldn't see me anyway. So it's just a voice like, number 48, and it's just like, who the fuck is that? Like, it's just in the shadows. And annoyingly, I had the opportunity to kind of like plug myself, and the promoter, bless her, Abby, she was absolutely lovely, and they looked after me really well. They were like, plug whatever you need, do like promote yourself as whatever you want. And obviously everyone there knows me for doing character voices. And I just went on there and spoke on the stage in my normal voice, which people know from Quinn. But it's like, loads of people who would have heard me on TikTok but not know me would be like, who the fuck is this? They wouldn't know. I was like, you idiot. So I've got to learn a bit more of like the business savvy side of it a bit, but like, and just like the PR bit of it. I'll get there.
Mate, we've chopped it up for about an hour.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Love that.
So I'm going to ask two things. Now, I just want to see your face when you say, are you happy? Are you genuinely happy with your life and how it's going at the minute? That's what are you? Do you like the way things are going?
I'm loving it.
Mate, it's good to see a friend really fucking enjoy what's going on in their life.
No, thank you, man.
And two, I like to end every episode, because I like the different answer that everyone gives. What is your definition of happiness? And take your time with it. It doesn't matter how long you take. I can edit it, whatever. But you tell me, what's your definition of happiness?
That's interesting, because usually people who say the definition of success, and I was going to say happiness. So you fucked me there.
Sorry, bro.
It's like the Uno reverse, mate.
I should have given you the heads up before we come in, by the way.
Definition of happiness is...
Yours. Your definition, yeah?
Oh, fucker. I think it's like, for me, at the minute, because my mindset and my life changes so like regularly, that in my current headspace, it's like the comfort and the confidence within myself is like my happiness, like to be truly like comfortable in my skin.
Yeah, so it's just being like seriously content with your life. You don't need no validation of no one, nothing. You're just happy with what you see.
Just happy with who I am.
Yeah, I agree.
Sweet.
Wow, thank you. Lovely having you on, bro. Episode 2, when you do your tour, your Hush Hush tour.
Oof.
Let's go.
Do it. Thank you for having me on, man.
That's a wrap.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, bro.